Hi, it's Lynne with Softsquares. Today we're going to go on a field trip. We're going to go to the Garden of Quilts at Ashton Gardens at Thanksgiving Point in Lehi, Utah. It's beautiful. It is put on by Riley Blake. It is an annual event where there are quilts hanging throughout this beautiful garden, and they have these little golf carts where you can hop on and off and you get little rides around, which is really convenient. But it's very large gardens. It's beautiful. So I'm going to show you the quilts. I'm also going to show you a talk that I was able to sit through, learning a little bit about Jennifer Long. So she's given me permission to share part of what I've taped, and I hope you guys enjoy the beautiful view, the fun information, and just know that this is something that happens every year. So you could plan your vacations and come to Salt Lake in September, mid-September, and maybe attend this in the future year. There you go. Hi, I'm Lynne with Softsquares. I am at the Garden of Quilts, which is at Thanksgiving Point. It is put on by Riley Blake. It's an annual event, and as you can see, we have quilts everywhere. We have some speakers. We're going to actually sit in on a guest speaker from Jennifer Long, see what she has to say, and we're going to walk around to see what's going on over here, and I'll show you a little bit what's happening. All right, they have all these tents, and they're themed. This one, I don't remember exactly what the theme was, but you get the idea. It's patriotic. There's also a lot of guilds and groups, and these quilts are all made and brought in so if everyone can see them. And the tent just past where we were looking is where the Missouri Star Quilt Company quilts were. But this is Jennifer getting ready to do her talk, and there she is in the black skirt, and she is a doll. So I hope you enjoy what I was able to get of her.
So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself first, and then my journey, and then I'm going to show you all of the fun things. Yes, I'm an early childhood educator. I have 4 kids, one that just left for college on Monday, and we live on a farm in Prairie, Canada. When my kids were young, well, first of all, I have sewn my entire life. My mom had sewn all her wedding dresses and all of her dresses and all of our clothes. My grandmother owned a sewing and knitting store. And when I was growing up, when I would go to my grandma's house, we would always make doll clothes together. And so I've just been around crafts my whole life. I also grew up training to be a professional ballet dancer. And when I was in there, I always knew that my dance career would be really short. And so I always thought, what will I do? And that's why I went into early childhood education. But the fun thing about that is that I kept getting drawn to, on the 3rd floor was the costume wardrobe, and it was just actually the most magical place, I think, in the whole ballet, because that's where the transformation happened. So if you know anything about like the arts or anything like that, the company that I was lucky enough to be part of had an entire floor dedicated to sewing. I don't know, there must have been 20 or 30 sewists in there. They would put the boning in the costumes. You know, if you've seen a real ballet tutu, there's just hundreds of layers of tulle around it, and it was so magical. And to me, when you were doing all the hard work of dancing and then coming into the costume wardrobe to put those on, it was transformative. So it really made a big impact in who I was. And I started taking classes as a teenager still about how to sew with Lycra, and I asked my grandmother a lot, and I started making costumes. But being the rebel that I am, I couldn't follow patterns. I just wanted to create my own. So I started just designing my own costumes for myself, and then very quickly, my girlfriends, when we had like dance competitions and stuff, and then people started paying me to do it. So I was just like, okay, this is maybe what I'll do, but I still didn't really think of it as a career. So I got married really young to my rock of a husband, and we moved out to the farm where he is, and we had 4 kids. And it was there that I was introduced to the world of quilting by my mother-in-law. And we didn't have a lot of money when we got married, and but I really wanted to learn how to quilt. So she just gave me all of her scraps that she didn't want. And she had like subscriptions to every quilt magazine, and she had them in boxes in her basement. So she was happy to download them on me. And I just read quilt patterns like novels. So I just would lay in bed or just on the couch and just read quilt patterns and just like suck in all of the information from quilt patterns. And I started to, when I was doing that, I started thinking, wow, this is amazing. I love how that you can take all of the beautiful fabrics that you can see and create them differently, put them together. And when I started reading them more and more and more, I started realizing, why didn't she strip piece this? Oh, why isn't this one, done with an HST? And I just started like processing this, but I didn't really think anything of it at the time. I was just they were my old magazines, so I just rip out my favorite patterns, but I would hardly ever follow the directions because I thought I could find a better way. And so when my kids were really little, I was so excited to just like be in the industry, and I was able to volunteer for a number of fabric designers throughout different companies in the industry, and that was sort of like my first initial step into like this amazing world that we are in. And I just did testing for designers, but really quickly when I was testing for them, so I don't know if you know what testing is, but when you test for a designer, you just like sign up and say, oh, they've got a new pattern that's coming out with the collection, do you want to sew it? And then you say yes. Hopefully you meet your deadline because they don't pay you. And then you just can give them feedback back on the pattern. And so I was like writing reports for them back. I was like, oh, well, I think you should change that, and you forgot page numbers and just all of these things. And really quickly, girls were like, I think you should start writing my patterns. And I had the skills I never thought about writing patterns as a job. I had the skills already because parallel to that, with all my costume background, I was making dolls, and I had the skills of like digitizing for machine embroidery, and I had those skills for like designing in like a vector program. So I was like, okay, I guess I could do that, especially if you're gonna pay me and I can like be at home with my kids. So I started writing patterns, and how that industry, the industry works is really a word of mouth like any other industry. And so as I started writing patterns behind the scenes for other designers, then they started saying like, oh my goodness, I have a good pattern writer here. And I would just start, like my circle started to grow and grow. And I started with small fabric companies, and eventually I just got into bigger fabric companies. And it was amazing. It was the best time because I could work at home, work while the kids were sleeping, and just be still creative. Writing quilt patterns is extremely creative because, as you know, there's not only one way to do it. So, which brings me keeping going here. When all my kids were in school and older, I thought, oh, I've been in this industry for a while, and I think I have something to offer, and I wonder if I can make it as a fabric designer. But if I make it as a fabric designer, I only want to work for one fabric company. And honestly, I only submitted my portfolio to one fabric company, and that was Riley Blake Designs, and it is the best fabric company. And so I'm so grateful to be here as a fabric designer. While I was a fabric designer, I saw this little job ad posted online just for like a 24-hour period, and it was saying, do you want to manage the pattern department? And it kind of had all of these duties, and I called our art director when I saw it, and I said, was this job written for me? Because it seems like it was. And she said, well, it's not a virtual job, but I wouldn't let that deter you from like applying to it because you're a very strong candidate. So I did. I wrote a resume and I put it out there, and I am the pattern department manager for Riley Blake Designs, which is also a dream job. So I get to do it by day and I get to do it by night. So I'm like the Barbie that gets to do it by day and by night. And so it's just been an amazing journey, and I'm so grateful for every part of that journey because it brings you to sort of where you are and all of that life experience. So I get to touch all kinds of quilt patterns. I was really scared to niche, I will tell you that. So if you're in any business, it feels really scary sometimes to niche down. And it was the best decision that I ever made to do that. And I'll just tell you what, because in my day job, I get to touch all the patterns. I love all the quilt patterns. I love the antique quilt patterns. I love the picture patterns. And I get to have, meet that part of myself. But as an early childhood educator, I was like, well, I don't want to only just do this genre, but it was it just brought amazing clarity to my purpose and what I was, and then my style and everything else. So it was the best decision that I ever made to niche. So my niche, and I won't even call it juvenile because I don't feel like it's in the juvenile category. I would say it's in the early years education category, and that extends to the whole family. So it is, fun for the whole family. It's basically just whimsical and light. I try to keep my quilt patterns so that you can have them in your house, but still have them fun enough that you can have them playful. So the first thing I wanted to show you is a quilt pattern concept that I have never seen done before, and I had worked with literally thousands of patterns, and I wanted a quilt to be under. I was thinking when I was putting my own kids to bed when they were young, sometimes they'd come home from school and they'd have a really tough day. Everybody gets bullies and all of the things, and you try to hug them, but sometimes they just feel low or have low self-esteem, and I wanted them to feel more than that inside of them. And I thought, I want them to be, know that they can be something. So I created the Be A pattern series, and it's a pattern series that when you lay under the quilt, you become what that is. So with my newest collection that's coming out next month, it's called It Takes a Village. It's just about the empowerment of all of those around us in our community. I have 3 new patterns in that series. I have more than that for patterns because I love patterns, but I have 3 patterns in that series, and I'm gonna call Cindy up. This is also Corinne Wells. She's a fabric designer and a dear friend of mine from Riley Blake Designs. And I need a 3rd person, so we can have a guest from the audience come up. Who would like to be? They get the middle one with the post, so do you want to come? Okay, come on, Michelle. Okay, so what we have to do for this is we're gonna have to count to 3 because it's exciting and mind-blowing, and I want to awe you. So we're going to count to 3, we're going to hold them in the row, and then when we count to 3, they're all going to drop them at the same time. And good thing I'm tall and you're in front of me, Michelle. So it's perfect, I can still see over you. And just hold the top. Are you guys ready? Okay, 1, 2, 3. And then put your faces at the top. Put your face at the top. There you go. Yes. So yes, so the really amazing thing about this quilt pattern series is, like I said, I designed it for children and children in my life, but I don't know, when we just put our faith in what we are doing, then it becomes bigger than us. I really truly believe that. All of the pieces, even the back of the doll, totally in the hoop. So if you don't know the gravity of that, I won't do it, don't worry. Mic drop. It's a big deal. It is a really big deal to be able to do a stuffed doll completely in the hoop. So much so that I've been able to copyright that and license it with Riley Blake Designs. So Riley Blake Designs has launched a machine embroidery program, and these dolls are in that release. But so this is with Little Red Riding Hood and Grandma, and the woodcutter and the wolf. Any boundaries, because nobody taught me that there were limitations in life. And so Little Witch, I wanted to create a collection that I wanted it to be like every single story always has a witch. So I wanted it to be like a collection. So if you love stories and you love like nursery rhymes and just all of those things that are happening, that you can create your own little witch story. Oh, you're wearing a hat too, thank you. So, I have all of these, Isn't she the best? You know, have all of these wonderful patterns. This is traditionally pieced. This moon is not a curved piece, it's just raw edge applique. Otherwise, this quilt can go together in a day, minus maybe your border around here, but the quilt part goes together so fast. And I have a whole series of patterns like this as well, like one for Little Red and other characters. But yeah, it just really speaks to my heart. So there's that. I also have a YouTube channel that I do a lot of videos on. So this is a tutorial on that. This is actually also going to be a tutorial on the Riley Blake Designs website. It's so easy. It's fully lined, and it really just takes you under 30 minutes to make. And it's just it's well done. Am I allowed to say that about my own patterns? It's really well done. So yeah, it's super fun, and like you can see, it's just what's inside. So that's what's holding it in there. It's just fabric and a little bit of stabilizer. So you better watch the video to find out how it's done. And then the same thing here is we always had these, you remember these that are plastic? So we always had these as kids growing up, and I had to keep dumping them back at the house. But I didn't really want plastic ones. And when this collection, when Riley Blake said yes to this collection, then I thought, well, we really need to have these totes made into fabric. And so I created this shape. Again, it's fully lined, and this has been a huge pattern actually for Sew a Story, and I'm super happy about it. So I love doing little things like this too. Are you still having fun? I feel like I should dance for you guys. Okay, a couple more things. Okay, let's do this quilt first. Let's do a wild quilt. So staying with Little Witch, I couldn't bring all of the quilts, but I did want to bring this quilt, because this quilt, who knows what everyone likes the most, but this quilt is crazy. This is my best-selling pattern almost. It's just so crazy. So it's been so fun. And thank you so much for that. But it's, yeah, just like a whimsical witch's hat. And these are raw edge applique. I always also give a code on my patterns for SVG cut files. So if anybody does do fabric crafting and you don't want to hand cut your flowers, then you can always just put them through your Cricut or whatever silhouette that you have for that too. Yeah. Good. All right, and so then the next set of dolls that's coming very soon, actually shipping this month, is Little. Could be somewhere in Garden of Quilts. It's okay, it's probably somewhere. If you see a little tiny witch's hat, no, just joking. Okay, so here's Little Witch. She has a hat that's fully in the hoop, as well as her boots. You know, she has a little wart on her nose. She has all the details. Okay, are you ready? She even has a spider crawling up her back here. So, you know, just thought about all of the things. There is a cute little bat doll that, you know, you could just hang anywhere. And then these come in three sizes in all of the formats. So if you have a 5x7 hoop, and you can make these dolls. 6x10, 8x12, and they're like 14. This is the medium size, 16-inch and 18-inch. And then there's this cute spider. He's friendly. I don't like spiders, but this one is really friendly. And this bow is done totally in the hoop. And yeah, I just feel like this is just exciting, groundbreaking stuff. So I just wanted to point it out. He has little teeth over here, and then just so that everybody knows he belongs to Little Witch, he has her hat on his little seat here, so he'd be cute hanging anywhere. And then, okay, and then we'll finish with one last quilt. This one is actually not in a fabric collection of mine, but it has been a really strong pattern. Cindy actually is the inspiration for this quilt. I know, because she was saying, oh, we just really need an something Advent on this release. And it was like, you have the weekend. Can we think of something? And I was like, oh my goodness, okay, well, I'll see if I can come up with something Advent. And I'm so grateful that she asked me to do that, because sometimes you do just need, number one, that little fire or that little inspiration inside of you. And this is an easy pattern to sew. It's called North Pole, but it has a little pocket for each house, and you can opt to have them or not opt to have them. I actually taught this class, I don't know which day, one of the days this week, I can't remember, and it has the 25 days of Christmas. So this will be hanging in our kitchen. I do have a couple rods where quilts always hang, and the inspiration for this quilt, besides Cindy, is the felt panel, the Santa's Workshop felt panel. So the little characters that are inside, of there, they like fit perfectly in here. And if you have an embroidery machine, I did do this. So it says like toy repair shop. It says reindeer shed. It says like little elf barber, birdseed, jingle bells, flight school. So, you know, they can kind of go through it and have fun, either taking them out or putting them in. And I just, yeah, it's a really fun quilt. I actually am also making this right now in my It Takes a Village collection. So I'm _Jennifer Long on Instagram. So I just have to be that on Instagram. But I'm Sew a Story everywhere else. Anything else? Okay. Well, thank you very much for being here.
I introduced myself to her before she spoke, and she gave me permission to video her and to share this with you. She also asked us to come and take some pictures with her. So the red-headed gal there is my assistant. Her name is Sarah, and she's my employee, and she's awesome. She's picking up things really fast, but she's also new to sewing and quilting, and so this was really fun for me to bring her and let her see all these different techniques and look at it. And I'll be honest, she was kind of like a deer in headlight when Jennifer Long was talking about HSTs and strip piecing, and it was kind of funny. So we have a long ways to go to teach my gal, but hopefully you guys will get to interact with her more. But we ran into somebody. Well, okay, it was a planned run-in, but Marlene Hinton, there she is. She is one of our viewers. You might see her in the comments and chat from time to time. She came in from California, and we coordinated and were able to catch up, and we had so much fun. She's fun. So Marlene, what do you see there?
I see a double wedding ring. I mean, it's beautiful, but if you look, there's the football, there's the whatever you call that thing, and look, she's got the fabric placement that makes all those little pieces. It's really cool, very good.
That is really fun.
And I love the lime just as an accent over in the corner.
Yeah, just got to have a little
pop.
Exactly, a little pop. So Marlene and I are at Garden of Quilts, and look who we found. We found each other. And that, my friends, is my quick tour of the Garden of Quilts. They also have a vendor barn, and I did not have a chance to make it over there, but there was a lot going on, and they have lots of classes and seminars and things, so there's a lot you can do. I'm not getting paid to promote this. I just thought I'd tell you guys it's a really cool thing to come to if you coordinate it. So the point is, that was a fun experience. So hope you enjoyed it. If you have ever been, let me know. And if you were even here this weekend, let me know too. That would have been fun. And by the way, if any of you guys come through Salt Lake or the Wasatch Front, which is basically Salt Lake and the joining cities north and south, Wasatch Front is the mountain range that borders all that to the east. Anyway, the Wasatch Front, let me know, because I would love to catch up with you guys just like I did with Marlene. All right, guys, have a great day.